Welcome back. I asked if you'd be here, and if you're hearing this, you are, so good job to you. We are the LJL, officially unofficial cast for the LJL region. We cast things in English over here for the wider international audience. We've been through week 6 of the LJL 2020 summer split, and we are left with one game remaining from our super week of 16 games in 2 days. Namely, for us, it will be Burning Core versus Detonation FocusMe. And if you'd asked me about this game a couple of weeks ago, I would have passed it off because a DFM win, but things are not quite so simple now. In their first matchup, however, things also got a little bit close to comfort. Once has been a jungler, which I know that all of us have been focusing on and zooming in on, as a guy willing to take on and capable to take on Boogie for that top spot in the LJL jungle power rankings. And I know that, Sam, you had a lot of thoughts about Once, particularly in his last week of games.
Oh, he was
very
so
impressed with
good.
his Kha'Zix.
His Kha'Zix was absolutely phenomenal, man. Like, he was finding massive advantages, soloing out Azirs and Wukongs in jungles and Jaces. It was really, really, really impressive. And that's considering we saw Boogie on the Kha'Zix as well. Once, I think, had the better of him in that particular regard the other week. And that's not something I say light.
Not lightly indeed. And something which we normally don't speak lightly of either is Steel in the jungle for DFM. Because in their first matchup versus Burning Core, actually Steel controlled Once really, really well on the Trundle versus Echo matchup. Of course, a couple of kills were traded back and forth, but Once was playing a very good game. Steel just got the upper hand. DFM have had some stumbles in that jungle position. Well, in a couple of positions for them, really. Utapon is the one guy I'd say has been consistent. Because everyone has had a couple of question marks about them. Lexi, what do you make of Steel, and do you think he's enough to contain Once in this second matchup versus Burning Core?
Maybe not. It's tough now. It's not. This is not the same place that we were a few weeks ago. This is a leveled up Burning Core, and it's weird to say this.
I'm still in my bedroom. I cast from the same place every day.
It's so weird to think this, but I genuinely could see that Once now controls Steel in spots. And part of this is so much that there's reliance on the top lane and mid lane to support your jungler in certain spots, to play around your jungler. And Yuji and Rayfaki are just doing that really well, and I'm not seeing quite that same level from Sirius and Ebby. So part of it, I'm saying no, because I don't think he necessarily gets that direct support.
So much about the jungle is about that whole team dynamic. I will get back to you in a second, Sam, just because I think it's important we move on to a couple of other things, because there's so much to talk about. And one thing is that, of course, for DFM, the person who I kind of alluded to earlier, the one person who's really impressed me has been Utapon on DFM. This guy has arguably been maybe even the best AD carry in the region at some points. His team fighting's been immaculate, and Gang on stuff like the Bard has been a wonderful playmaker for this team, even when they have been struggling to find their results. Yuhi, on the other side, he's really been struggling for the side of Burning Core, though, being caught out of position. As much as he's been having a lot of priority put towards him in the draft, he's not really been picking up a lot of that slack. So as much as you're talking about Rayfaki and Yu-Gi-Oh being the shining lights and supporting Once and helping him in his endeavors, Yuhi's not necessarily doing that for Burning Core. Sam, what do you make of this bot lane matchup between these two teams?
Yuhi has finally got himself another pick outside of Aphelios in the Ashe, which is used for Burning Core. But even so, in games where he has to be quick on the trigger finger to stop being engaged on, Yuhi's trigger finger has been very slow. We saw it in the first game today, where NT really punished that. Really, really punished. And I still think that's a weakness for Yuhi. In a way, it's just not upon. There is just a mechanical discrepancy there, even if Yuhi has found some other ways to at least offer utility into decent teamfight DPM now. Definitely a point of weakness for Burning.
Point of strength, though, as a person which you've had a soft spot for quite some time now, Lexi. It's Rayfaki in the top lane. We're talking about mechanical discrepancies. There isn't particularly one up in that top lane. Rayfaki is looking like he's back, and even though they did lose to Sengoku earlier when he was playing that Camille, he didn't seem like the problem, did he?
No, Rayfaki is almost never a problem for Burning Core, regardless of the comp that he's been forced on, regardless of the champion. If it's a tank and he's hating every moment, he knows he'll get a Darius game at some point. He had it in a game that we've already covered, and Oh, it was poetry in motion, and I could almost feel the man himself probably with the largest grin. I'm sad that we're not in the stadium, that all these games are online, because you know we would see a shot of him just smiling. Huge smile. Ray Farkey's still here, and he genuinely might be the best top laner at the moment, as Ebby is having a slight fall from grace at the moment.
Well, one of our favorite things in the LJL is that when we see the DFM draft, it's the Ebby thumbs up. That thumbs up is looking like the Terminator going down into the vat of lava, the end of Terminator 2. Because Ebby, I mean, I said coming into this split, I don't bet against DFM because Ebby is that good.
Exactly.
If Ebby is on a team, they always have that chance of shooting for the title. But Ebby, for the first time in his career, from my perspective, looks like he's starting to falter. Sam, I know you have a lot of opinions on DFM, and particularly Ebby as well. Does this tie into greater issues with DFM, or is this starting and ending with Ebby?
I think a lot of it is starting with Ebby at the minute. Frankly, he has been abysmal this weekend. He was poor the week before. He went 1-7 on Vladimir yesterday, or on the Saturday. It was atrocious. Saros has been, honestly, mostly okay in the mid lane. He's not been winning, he's not been losing. But bluntly, the fact that the top lane is capitulating so damn hard, is losing, say, steal half of his jungle camps. It happened to during the V3 game, where basically Steel ended up 100 CS behind because he just couldn't farm half his jungle suddenly. And Boogie suddenly gained an extra quadrant of the jungle in which to farm. We saw that effectively Ebby not playing with respect to the enemy jungle. And I know that we've had question marks about how heavily DFM have been playing to top side, and I wonder whether it's because at the minute Ebby isn't playing weak side all that well on the champions he's playing.
And there is something to say about that in terms of how DFM likes to play as a team and how they are setting themselves up to do that right from the pick and ban phase, because I know that we've had a lot of issues about DFM drafting compositions which need to play towards bot side, playing towards top side anyway, or doing the opposite, or just getting the wrong read on what they're doing. The way I've put it is that I think particularly sometimes they draft themselves very narrow win conditions and rely on themselves playing themselves into a position where they can still win. We saw that versus Axes. They ended up having a bit of a draft deficit, but still pulling out a win against all odds at several points in that game. But I don't mind which one of you takes this. What do you make of DFM and their struggles to really get a cohesive game plan? Because it looks like Burning Core on the other side are looking quite good on the same page.
I mean, personally, my one will be a quick point initialize, I promise you. In all honesty, I still want Syros to pick up Zoe and LeBlanc. If they pick these very high priority champions, I genuinely could see DFM rise to the very top again, very easily and very quickly. And I don't think there's too many questions. A lot of this is currently falling on Ebby, but I still want Syros to have a wider champion pool of more meta champions, just because it offers other things in their pick and ban phase. And now initialize, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. I will disagree on that in that I don't think LeBlanc and Zoe are all that high priority around the world right now. I'd rather see the Azir back. I'd rather see the Orianna back, which would be so much more useful.
Really good.
Yeah, like these kind of things. I'd rather see more of that right now, because I don't think Zoe and LeBlanc are actually all that important around the world right now, largely speaking. I also just have some issues with some of the drafts that DFM are doing in terms of lane deficits more than anything. They often just don't have a lot of priority early, and then still go for dragon secures, and they secure them sometimes. Like say the Sengoku game, I know, where they managed to get some drakes early against the run of play, but it still puts that they still lose a kill while doing it, and it gets them into gold deficits. And I'd rather just see some more, a little bit more priority in lane, even if you do want to go for a bit more scaling.
The thing for me is that DFM do have really good early stats outside of that.
They do.
It speaks to their level of play, even though they are drafting some very strange stuff. That their bot lane is often carrying their priority to a point where they can contest to early objectives. Do you want to move quickly on from that, just cutting off that very slightly, just because I do need to get your predictions, guys, because we do need to get into game. We'll talk more about this on the podcast. We'll have plenty of our opinions flying left, right, and center, but I need your opinions right now. Who is winning this game?
Detonation FocusMe. It's what I predicted at the before Super Week happened. If you ask me now, like, if I could get to get a rebate on my predictions before Super Week, I'd probably now lean to Burning Core. But I already said DFM in the document, so it's DFM.
Put DFM in the document, but I still actually think it will be Burning Core. Primarily because I was very underwhelmed with how Ebby was playing weak side, and I think Once and Ray Farkey are on a serious tear right.
On a serious tear right now. Well, you get to hear plenty more of these two opinions throughout the next half an hour because they'll be casting this game. They'll be heading over to
What
Pick and
was your
Bans
opinion,
as
though,
we speak
Nymera?
that. My opinion is, I think I voted for DFM before
No, you
this.
didn't.
In that case, I didn't check what I voted. I voted for Burning Core, and therefore I can stick with my prediction and say Burning Core again.
Lucky.
And hopefully... Well, what I'm looking for is high-level League of Legends, and for me to not be disappointed by either team. I want to see a return from form for DFM, and I want to see Burning Core keep it up and be that wonderful, honorable opponent, because that first matchup was one of my favorite games in the LJL so far. As I said, you two will be hearing a lot more from you. You get to talk about those pick and bans, those drafts, and what DFM have set themselves in precedence. Enjoy the game, guys.
Thank you so much, Nymera. We are into Pick and Bang for the last game of our day. Blast from the past it may be, but we've still got this one to get done. It's Burning Core on the blue side, it's DFM on the red, and for Burning Core, it's Ray Farkey once, Yu-Gi-Oh, Yuhi, and Proud that is taking on that monster on the other side of the rift.
And for Detonation FocusMe, it's Ebby, Steel, Siros, Utapon, and Gang, and we're already seeing a Kha'Zix ban on Once. I'm not surprised. Are you, Initialize?
No, I'm not, and it's the Ziggs and the Heimerdinger ban against Seros, basically because Yu-Gi-Oh has like such little practice right now, and they're the weird ones that might throw him off. The Ezreal away from Utapon as well, which he has looked exceptionally good on, even when things have been looking a little rough.
That's also a callback to their first game where Utapon went 11-0-7.
Oh, yes.
So they're just like, we're just going to ban it. Yes, we haven't got everything quite. So we just want to secure it, right? So, and now they ban Bard. So Nymera will be happy as well for DFM.
Yeah, and there's the set ban, interestingly. Don't want to give that over to Proud in particular, who's looked very, very good on it. And, you know, call DFM the monster, but that monster has been wounded by a hell of a lot of knights that have been running rampant and changing the old order up in the LJL. And Burning Core will first pick the Ashe. It's been something they've gone towards. Okay. It's Yuhi's kind of new pick at the moment.
Wait, are Utapon's not going to pick a Felios? I mean, I know a Felios has bad matchups, but the Bard's already been banned away, so you can normally pick it up. It's a weird one. Ashe? Karma's open! How are
they might get Karma still. I think they probably go Callista Karma here. Right?
If they don't go Callista Karma, and Burning Core have an opportunity at Karma, and you get Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Proud on it. Just imagine Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, specifically Proud, a man that I can sing the praises. That's why Set was banned. Because let's be real, Proud is almost good as good as Set as Reiner. And that's very high credit to give to him.
Yeah, Proud has been pretty phenomenal in that.
They're not locking it in.
The Karma. They're going towards the Volibear, which has been very poor in the LJL, largely speaking. And DFM picked it up the other day. And Steel didn't feel like it was all that great. Once we'll go towards the Graves, which you've not seen that much out of this guy before.
Where's the Karma pick?
But instead they go towards the Galio and the Graves. Great way to keep that Galio alive, but it means the Karma is still left up, and DFM will gratefully pick up that Karma, I imagine, here as their third pick on red.
Yeah, and it's a Zero special. This is really confusing that Burning Core just gave it over. The normal picks were Ziggs, Heimerdinger, Karma. But now...
Even before Karma was amazing.
Exactly. And now Karma's amazing. I'm really worried that that's something that can benefit DFM. I mean, it makes my document prediction a bit easier for me. I feel a little bit happier. Granted, I don't like that they've got Volibear. So, less happy on that. Banning's coming up. There's going to be a huge priority on just the top laners here now. As that Darius comes through, right?
Yeah. Ray Farkey got a hold of it. People let it through for the first time in a while. And he... stomped those late games. Let's put that in completely blunt terms.
This is Ebby wanting to ban this. Surely Ebby's fine against this. I believe.
Sure. It's not necessarily that. It's just sometimes it's like this guy plays it really, really well. And it's like it's a comfort pick we can get out. And I want to play champions that Darius might actually be quite good into. A lot of the sort of bruisery matchups in topside. Generally something that Darius loves to index into.
Okay, we actually see Burning Core deciding to ban a Thresh here, trying to maybe neuter the lane of Gang, as Proud has been shown to play more unorthodox support, whereas Gang is typically playing more of the traditional supports, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, we saw Utapon's Callista for the first time yesterday as well, and it was...
This Galio could also be a support.
Yeah, it could well be a support. fair. Well, it's a fair point because Galio could definitely go to support. But the Kalista got off to a decent early lead. Got
It
the
really
1v,
did.
they got the 2v2 kill on the bot, but then just could not team fight. Was finding it very difficult team fight. Was not managing to secure as many objectives as they would like as the game went on. Definitely got a little rough. TFM thinking about going for the Renekton blind here. It's strong early on. It's decent front line. Blind enough. Decent-ish blind. There's some questions about how entirely effective it is right now. I could have seen an Ornn also being a great lock-in there, but they've gone towards it.
It's interesting that they decide to go towards that Renekton. There's a lot of champions obviously still available in the top lane. Obviously, Wukong hasn't been banned. It's available. It's up there. I mean, the set has already been banned. The Volibear has already been taken by DFM. So it does mean that this Steel is going to be playing this Volibear in the jungle. Unless for some reason it's crazy and could go support, I guess. Though I really don't think that's quite good at the moment. There are rumors, obviously, that is something that you can do. Doubt it. Okay, Proud's going to be playing the man himself. You can't milk these.
You can't milk those, and the Gangplank locked in for Rayfarki. I really like that into Kalista. Just throw down the Cannon Barrage on her, slow her down, and she's having a really sad time in team fights. Thinking about Gang's Taric, he has loved this. It's not bad with the Kalista. Throw in the Taric, he gets to put down the Dazzle super easy. The Cosmic Radiance, not Cosmic Binding, I've been casting too much Bard recently, is a nice way to keep it alive. Does mean that DFM's comp is very reliant on Utapon getting ahead, though.
It is reliant on getting ahead. But at the same time, I think they've got time to get ahead. I can't really see where the pressure is going to come out from on DFM's side. It's one of these weird ones where it's like, Burning Core need to get ahead. But I don't know how DFM are actually going to stop them from getting ahead. Outside of getting good ganks and the like, they don't really have a great amount of engage unless Gang just gets thrown into the middle through a Fate's Call and then stuns
bad
them.
In Venice. Like, Volibear's not awful. Renekton can flash. You know, there is the Fate's Call, which is always engaged, which is nice. But I kind of agree with you. And while I think DFM are going to have lane pressure,
in the early,
great early. Yeah. Kalista will have early. Renekton's got early. That's great early. Fantastic. But once the level 6 is hit and DFM look to try and get the Kalista further ahead, Galio ult comes in, Graves turns up, the Cannon Barrage comes down. That's a lot of ways to counter what DFM want to do in that bot lane. I think I quite like that draft from Burning Core there.
Yeah, it was a really solid draft from them, and important to know, thank you production for telling us that Alistar was actually buffed on this patch. So that's actually huge because his Q is now down 2 seconds at all ranks, which means just what you can do, you can just punish your opponents far more often with that pulverize on your Q. It also means what happens is, if you want to be Gang and you want to be Fate's Call thrown in, what's a great champion to throw them off? Oh, Alistar. You just headbutt them away and just go, no, bad. Go away. Naughty. And when you headbutt them in, if you headbutt them, pulverize them, you can have Yu-Gi-Oh come in on top of the Alistar. Rayfarki can ult down. And they've got a lot of flexibility, especially with this Asho. I have to agree with you. I actually adore Burning Core's draft, and I didn't appreciate at the time the Gangplank like you did, Initialize. I didn't appreciate it. The more I'm seeing it, the more I love it.
I will say that, of course, that the early lane pressure is absolutely in favour of DFM.
Oh, hugely,
assuming they play it right, they can get these turrets shoved under turret, and that's good news. Of course, once the level 6 is hit, Burning Core can turn around what DFM are trying to do. But of course, you know, Kalista Taric, you throw Taric in, he puts a Dazzle down, people stay stunned in place forever. Taric's great into melee matchups like Alistar.
He is.
You could definitely get that snowballed. It's just that Burning Core do have tools to potentially answer it, which I am a little worried about come mid-game, where we know that DFM have been a little bit suspect around some of those Dragon and Rift Herald fights. That's an impressive first blood rate, though, for DFM. Like 87% of games.
It's impressive. They're always getting first blood almost every time, but the KDA at 15 is pretty. It's below average, whereas Burning Core are leading the pack, and part of that is your man himself, Once, in the jungle. And while we've said DFM have priority, they've got pressure, they're going to be great, Once is in this game, and he's on a Graves. And you can never count out Once on Graves, because he will do the crazy thing and start going, yeah, I'm a hyper farming champion, I'm just going to gank at 4, just because I got nothing else to do. So I'm going to gank,
Yeah.
I'll get a kill. I might get 2 kills because I'll go bot lane. Oh, and then the game's already won for me. I'm really great at this game because I'm once.
I think the stat here that's kind of most glaring to me actually is the kill participation stat for DFM down here in 7th. They are like near enough 10% lower than Burning Core. And like, I think that does speak to the lack of team fight coherency that DFM have had around some of these mid games where they've just been 10 seconds, 5 seconds late to a play, starting things they shouldn't be doing, and it's kind of been really biting them in the ass come about 15-minute mark, come those second heralds in particular.
Yeah, and I mean, part of this, what's also interesting is we can combine that statistic, the kill participation, along with the KDA at 15 for Burning Core. It just means whenever they do get kill participation going, like a small team fight breaks out, Burning Core have a huge win rate in actually winning that team fight, as opposed to the opposite way around for what it seems to be for Detonation FocusMe. It seems like if they get involved in an early team fight, that's where they start falling apart a little bit, whereas they're great at getting first blood. They just don't want it to go further than that, apparently, at the moment.
Yeah, there is something about that, and it's a little bit too, I think, as well, DFM historically have been a slower team. They've been trying to play faster this split, and I think it has been a little bit of a learning curve for them that hasn't worked out as well as they want to. And it's like, okay, we're going to play fast. We're going to play around these objectives. That's us playing fast, right? It's like, yeah, great, but you got to do it with the right item spikes and stuff. Look at the LPL. They fight a lot, but they always fight around when they have item spikes. That's what they do. It's not around objectives. It's, do we have the item spike? Great, we've got better battle stats. We can take this fight. That's their way of thinking. We're on to the Rift, though, here, and we kind of know how this is going to work out. DFM are playing around bot side, most likely. Of course, I suppose you could do up on the top side for a lot of early CC, but I would imagine DFM looking to play around it, and Burning Core hit level 6 and look to turn it around.
Whoa, Ace has gone fleet footwork. That's unique to me.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah.
Yeah, once.
Oh, no, sorry, no, Ace, once. I had Ace. I was like, what? Mid lane? Oh, no. Fleet footwork on Graves, I suppose it's a way of trying to dance around a lot of these guys who are going to be trying to come at you pretty damn fast. Kalista hopping around, good sustain in the jungle, obviously, as well. And if you're a little bit worried about being low health in this early game versus some of these more early game focused champions, I think it might try and hide you through to that mid game, would be my assumption, I guess.
I didn't realize that it was buffed relatively recently, I'm assuming, as Phase Rush was... Oh no, Phase Rush was buffed. I'm reading notes incorrectly. It's my apology. I'm so used to that Phase Rush Graves. It's the only thing I know because you just immediately get it. Twitter's split. You can't cut that almost any closer, basically. Yeah, 50-50 will be night, but that is amazing, right?
Yeah. DFM had a exceptionally poor Saturday. We've already seen their game versus Axis later on, which of course, you know, they did come out to win with, even if there were some questionable decisions by Axis, which definitely gifted them advantages. A 4-man dive in the top lane, which was fairly poorly played, we'll put it bluntly, by Axis. But their Saturday games in particular were fairly atrocious. Those stats from the AI bot favouring DFM earlier, but we've seen the AI bot certainly prove wrong as games go on. early, at least, like, champion advantage seems to be in favour of DFM, but we said we can see how potentially there's some room for Burning Core to come back as the cleanse blown early in that lane. The Ren coming out afterwards. Yuhi taking a hefty trade early on in this lane.
A real hefty trade onto him. We did highlight that Yuhi might be a cause of some vague problem moving forward throughout the rest of the game. It's good that we highlighted this. The only thing in their credit at the moment is that DFM are pushing pretty hard into their lane, meaning that obviously anything they are currently losing out on at the moment is going to be just disparity. It looks like they're also going to be able to get at least even camp or farm on it, so it's not going to affect them too much, and they'll heal up through this Doran's Blade.
Yeah, and you can also see that it is the inspiration secondary for you. He's got biscuits in inventory, which will definitely help sustain a little bit. And of course, Kalista, Taric can be a nasty combo when you are going for a melee support as well. So I can sort of see where if you want to do that, especially if you're going for the cleanse. So Yuhi should be surviving okay for now. Once is going to get the Scuttle Crab, but Utapon roaming up was looking to try and catch him out.
Surprisingly far down from that bot lane, but I guess they've pushed up and they don't really have much else to do because they are so pushed up so early on. Yu-Gi-Oh is just able to get away from Syros, and a lot of this mid lane is going to be pretty hard for Cirrus to actually get a kill. And part of that is because you don't have that long lane like in top lane, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Galio's always pretty safe. He's good against magic. He does have that magic damage shield. All of that's great. Nice stuff.
That's also great, yeah.
Yeah, like all of these things are good for things are good for Galio. But like, I don't think anyone's getting any kills in that one. They're going to want to leave lane, probably, is my imagination.
100%,
Once they're coming around this bot side, just shadowing his bot lane. DFM throwing down a ward spot out once to say, yeah, that's there. And despite what we said about potentially bot lane focus, instead it'll be DFM going towards the top lane, flashing in. But that is the Origins to make things orange and flash out from Rayfarki on the top side, but it will be flash from Steel as well in trade.
Yeah, it does mean that now Rayfarki's going to have to give them a lot more respect. Obviously, he did have a ward actually in that bush. He just reacted a little bit too slowly to Steel running back around.
Forced the flash out of Seros, who had to back away with once coming around the back end of that turret. That means in the bot side, we're going to see a bit of a trade back from Proud. He's looking to get as much work done as he can, but just punts the Taric away for a little bit. Nothing more to be found.
And at 5 minutes into this game, we've had a few ganks, but it's been a lot of posturing at the moment from most of these lanes. No one's gone so low where we're like, oh my god, there's going to be a kill here. It's mostly just been, oh, I'm going to try something here.
No wards for Burning Core. DFM's Steel coming in behind. Here's the Flash Dazzle that forces the flash out of Yuhi. And that is trade 1-for-1, but nothing more to be found.
Good for also for Yuhi at least. He is going to have his cleanse up within the next minute. So this kind of disparity where he's like, oh no, Taric could just kill me. It's actually not going to be a huge problem. The same thing in Steel for Steel. If he tried to gank and obviously use that Q stun, isn't going to be possible because Yuhi is about to have his cleanse back up. And Proud still has all of their summoners and it hasn't been phased once yet. So pretty good so far.
Yeah, and once actually coming out to a very good early farm advantage. Still been looking for a couple more ganks. He's actually coming straight back down bot. He knows what his win condition is. That he's on a ward. He's going to try and his sweeper timed out before he can clear it out. That's unfortunate. Will now back away and look instead towards this early Ocean Drake.
Well, DFM do have a very high priority, if not maybe the highest priority, if I remember rightly, in Dragon's early game. Or is that V3? It's one of the two of them.
Dragon V3 have the biggest dragon percentage in general. I know DFM do take a lot of early dragons.
Sure.
I can't remember what their stats are for first dragon.
I know it's high. I know they always get the first few dragons and then sadly find a way to have the game unravel away from them. But normally the first few dragons and normally first Rift Herald is normally pretty good for them. It's why against V3 it was a big cause of contention. Both junglers were fighting aggressively for them.
Yes, they were. Once is going to invade onto Raptors, which is not a Rift Herald, but is nice gold for this champion. Once basically spends his game on any jungler in the enemy jungle because that's all he does. It gets him punished every now and then, but when it works, he starts pulling up some fairly significant advantages. And with the Volley Bear consistently looking around that bot lane after the top lane attempt, Left wants to free farm and have a happy time coming out to a decent CS advantage versus the Volley Bear. DFM's Ebby now going in on the top side, but you've got to be very afraid, of course, that the Graves is around to contest. And with UJO at level 7, there is that turnaround potential now available. Steel's going to find the ward in the bush, but once it's over the wall, and now it's been spotted, Steel's going to be chased away from his red buff, and with the gangplank
and the
Galio looking to roam up. Yet there's no level 6 for Steel, which is a pretty big mark. Ebby has got his Dominus, though. That's forced the collateral damage out of once to get the steal, but he gets out. Saros roams over to see whether he can see anything at the back end, but won't find much. Nice invade from once. Just burns the ultimate to get out with that red buff.
Yeah, but that's triple buff. Rayfarki's going to get tapped a bit, but that Conqueror stack comes up at 12. The second that the fight is already over of the slapping them each of the top laners around. Interestingly, Gang has rotated around, so it looks like they're going to try and get this Rift Herald pretty early.
They are going to get it. So as it spawned, they rotated very fast. Going to leave Kalista a little alone in the bot side, but with the wave shoved in, there's not a lot of room for Yuhi to come up and contest. Once it's going to react, and there is that smite advantage. That's the stun onto that Graves, though he flashes out, but now the Galio ult goes in. The turnaround is beginning. That's the cannon barrage, and DFM fall around the Rift Herald one more time. The flash away from the arrow that was from your own squad is a bit of a question mark from you, Gio. But DFM still looking to contest. They're going to potentially come around and do still secure that Rift Herald. It's a 1-for-1, but now they need to find their way out. There's no flash for Steel. They flash onto Unipon, but nothing else had actually be gained. Rayfaki falls at the back end, or Rayfaki gets the kill, rather, onto Steel, who had no way out. And that is instead 2 kills for Rift Herald. Unipon there a little late, and the level 7 mark and that level 6 discrepancy for Steel make things a little bit awkward there.
Yeah, that was also a gorgeous flash from Proud there. Zoned out Utapong. In some worlds, the whole team would collapse upon them, get a huge amount of initiation and really do that. But instead, it allows them to basically isolate Steel, which was just what they needed. He's just actually solo going into this, but this is such a gorgeous ult from Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets the stun. Gang is just in no man's land, even though he's right next to Ebby, and Ebby is immediately able to run away. They get great priority. Weird flash from Yu-Gi-Oh! There.
He thought the arrow was coming for him.
Remember who your bot laner is, Yu-Gi-Oh! In the future, buddy. Everyone makes mistakes, though. Everyone has them days. It's okay. Steel does happen to get this Rift Herald, but as we know, he does perish
in the bot lane. Yui's taken so low, and the Tether will claim the Ash's life. Now Proud's in trouble. They burn a lot of flashes. That's a great headbutt, but the flash back in for the Cull the Meek will get a second kill, and DFM are back on the board. Much better from them in the bot side.
4 for 4. We barely caught all of it, and that looked really solid. It looks like DFM were able to collapse on the side of Burning Core when they hadn't still reset afterwards. So, full summoners, everything used. Not a lot now left in the tank on the side of DFM as they burnt a lot, but Burning Core had already burnt a lot prior. Let's get this replay proper. Okay.
Yeah. He shoved way too far up. And it's Gang that shoved away, not the Callista. And, yep. There's the Burning Core pretty swift to respond, though.
Yeah, but they don't have any ultimates, they don't have any flashes or anything, so now they're just going to get collapsed on when they can't actually catch them. Ebby and Siros just come down, Yuki gets taken super low, Proud then just gets eaten, even though he tries to throw Ebby into it, and that's all she wrote. Yeah, Burning Core just followed a bit too deep when they didn't have a need to, and they didn't have any follow-up potential because, well, none of them have flashes, except for Yuki and I guess Proud because of Hexaflash, but you have to channel that, so it's not the truest flash.
Nope, and Infernal Drake about to spawn in 5 seconds. We can see there's not all that much in the way of wards around here right now, and Steel's actually not there. He's around that top side. Remember, he's got that Rift Herald in inventory. He was around that bot side to try and look for plates after the fight got turned around for DFM, but with once around and this Infernal Drake kind of out of vision, it'll be a clean secure for Burning Core.
Yeah, Siros is also on the top side, so if anything, they're going to try and make a play on Rayfaki. Looks like that's the actual line.
Here, there is the cannon barrage. There is the Fun Plus Phoenix sign on the floor, but the Storm is incoming, trying to buy as much time as he can. The barrels are down. There's the shields from cover, but he's just running away so fast. There aren't enough flashes in the world to catch up with this man, it feels like right now. There's the Ash Arrow. It does land on a Seras, but he doesn't care all that much right now. That's well played by Rayfaki. He gets out, teleport back to the mid lane. But all this while, Yuhi and Proud have been shoving in mid. Gang is going to be around, but there's 2 turret plates taken there. Steel and this Steel and the Renekton will take up 2 turret plates, and they don't summon the Rift Herald as yet because Proud is here to help out Rayfaki defend this turret. There's the Rift Herald summoned because they want to try and get turret plates, but honestly, with the 2 members around,
once is rotating.
A bit of a mistake. Once is rotating, and DFM aren't there right now. I think they're still going to get the charge. Yes, they do. That'll be 4 turret plates overall, so decent advantage for DFM, but not as much as they would have liked to have got out of that.
No, and I mean, part of it, they lose part of that advantage because they took 3 members to go and try and kill the top laner, didn't get it, and then for a while they never actually got anything for it outside of the 2 turret plates, but they lost 2 mid, so it actually evened out throughout all of it.
Yeah, it did. I mean, they still get the Rift Herald plates, which is nice. And, Seros was pretty swift to get back to the mid lane, so he didn't lose too much of the wave, which is, nice news. Don't get me wrong.
It is good. But then he burnt the TP, right?
Yeah, he did. That's exactly it. He burns the TP. Still up here about a 30 CS lead versus this Galio, despite how even it seemed to be going earlier on. That's pretty nice news for DFM, but of course, Karma's your main carry. You want the Callista to get a little further ahead if you can help it, but the Athene's already in is great news. All that shielding and healing is always nice, and no grievous wounds to be seen as yet for Burning Core. does mean that healing is going to stick pretty well for them.
Yeah, and they've got double heal with that Taric.
They're looking to dive.
Oh, God.
That's
But
the
no one's here.
alteration. Yeah, no.
Yu-Gi-Oh
wisely backs away.
allowed to make the call.
Proud's back. And Proud is back, so that will just be a couple more plates just before they fall as well. So that is good news for DFM picking up that at the end of there. Puts them up to about 1,500 gold advantage, which is nice for them. It's good space to be in. But we kind of said that Burning Core, as this game goes on, it's Callista that does the damage.
It really is.
Mostly, I mean, Renekton, Volibear, and Karma will add in on that, but they're not true carries. And as we say that, Ebby kind of looks to slap around the gangplank and show me that he does indeed have some damage. That's the Ignite popped from the spellbook, but not much more to be found for you. But as this game goes on, Graves, Ashe, gangplank sounds like a pretty good damage combo to me.
Yeah, it's a great damage combo. Graves, Ashe, even Rayfaki coming in with that gangplank on top of the Galio with Proud in the background. There's a really good combo here. In all credit, though, Detonation FocusMe were able to get double the turret plating. That's a huge part of where 1.5k their gold lead has really come from. Half of it is just being able to get that superior turret plating and was through that first Rift Herald.
But we have seen DFM get to the 15-minute mark with the AI bot saying, yeah, these guys are in a great position with their gold leads and stuff. Multiple times to split. So many times to split. And they have thrown it around things like the second Herald near religiously. And I'm worried it's about to happen again. It's going to be an engage onto Yuju. But flash in for Proud. And my words are coming true. Karma's dead already. And DFM cannot contest around Rift House to save their lives.
If this wasn't a blast from the past, I would have said Caster's Curse. But blast from the past, so you're safe. You're safe, Sam.
Just what? Alright, and once going to have the Rift Herald summon it in mid, and
they're gonna get
they
this
will
turret
look to
as well,
shove in here as well. They'll get that mid turret and that gold lead that was there for DFM that was looking pretty decent is about to be completely nullified with this mid lane tier 1 going down. Yep, there it goes. It's only 100 gold in the advantage for DFM now. How can it have been 6 out of the 7 weeks of the LJL Summer Split? How can it have been 6 of the 7 weeks in the LJL Summer Split and DFM can still not know how to contest or when to contest around a second Rift Herald?
What's even worse, in my eyes, is Gangplank had already just got in his Trinity Force. He just hit a power spike. That's the last time you want to fight Rayfaki. He's just hit a power spike. Ebby hasn't hit his power spike. Guys, just let them have it. Just let them have it. You cannot
be there earlier. You had no vision.
But what's worse is now they gave over mid turret through that. Now Mountain Drake's up. They're setting up, and Burning Core have priority. What are we doing, DFM? Come on, this is fundamentals that you didn't have a problem with previously. What's happening?
Yeah, at least the Renekton does claim that tier 1 on the top side, but we said we wanted Callista to get snowballed because she was kind of the main threat. She hasn't really. Steel was looking for something here as this Mountain Drake goes live, but that was not secure. Now, DFM have got the Callista, of course, that's great objective secure. Stepping forward onto Proud, but the turnaround, the heroic entrance forces the flash out of Callista, who's now been exhausted. She gets no damage down. The Cosmic Radiance will save the lives of DFM for a little while, but the health bars are now low, and that is a Stormbringer out from Steel, and that gives Burning Core complete run of the rift around this river. The re-engage again from Burning Core, from DFM, sorry, with the Karma shields coming out. Defiance does not save Ebby though, and now once is starting to run around, but yeah, your Callista's a threat, but I raise you a Graves who's been free farming. That'll be 2 kills on the back end of it, and Burning Core are going to throw some question marks DFM, and they're going to run back and find the Mountain Drake. I expected more emote spam after that one.
Yeah, 3 for 0 throughout that whole intro. No, 2 for 0? 2 for 0 because they already got a kill prior. 2 for 0. Burning Core just kind of looking at DFM going, guys, you only have Utapon for your damage. You know, like, Ebby has damage, sure, we respect that, but we also have a Rayfaki who has 100% kill participation.
My problem here is, though, Lexi, is that, like, you're right, but we've also got to remember, this is DFM's chance to fight, or they're going to get outscaled really horribly. They have to go for something here, or they basically are saying, we just are going to cede over the mid game or early game where we're supposed to be getting our advantages. And it goes horribly wrong in this replay.
Yeah, part of this is because they try and go into Utapon. Utapon gets immediately soloed out, so they have to use a bunch of ultimates to just try and get Utapon out. He also flashes and cleanses throughout this fight, meaning he can't get anywhere close to any of the members now of Burning Core. He has to stay so far back, meaning Ebby gets thrown in. Gang tried to go in with Ebby, but then was just a little bit too late and gets eaten for it. And now Syros, Utapon, and Steel are just like, guys, what happened? Where did our front line go? Oh, you guys died? Then we're gonna have to run away. They get dragon. These dragons stacking as well is the worst dragon on the Rift, really, for DFM to see, especially for Utapon, as he's just gonna look at it and go, guys, they're just gonna get so tanky. I won't be able to kill anyone, let alone Yuhi.
Well, when DFM are a relatively low damage comp, you know what that low damage comp is going to hate? More tankiness to have to try and blow through. Once here at level 11, got a 2-level advantage over Steel. And was looking for Seros, but Seros is swiftly getting away. And again, Seros Karma, up to 40 CS lead. Great! But your rest of your map's not got a lot done. You've got a 20 CS lead on your Renekton. What does that mean at this point in the game? What does it mean that once it's looking to dive Seros again, the tier 1 will fall and Seros is going to try and escape best he can. But there was no hope to be found. Not swift enough on the retreat there.
Look at this,
the
vision.
They're going to try and turn around on Rayfaki. That's a great flash to avoid the stun, but he's locked in place and will get shut down. That's the Ashe out to try and retreat, and you see, Burning Core are there to respond in a way that DFM were not. The Cosmic Radiance was good to buy time, and now Yu-Gi-Oh! Is in trouble. Steel will kill off the Galio. Kalista will get another one, and I eat my words. Well played, DFM. You get 3 kills, and you trade it back for Seros on the other side.
That Cosmic Binding was make or break. God, never count out Gang, apparently. He's like the one member of DFM with Utapon that you just always have to look at, and it's just really good. That basically
they're gonna turn onto Baron.
Fight.
This is what they're saying. Like, they have to find this now. This is their chance. They've burned a lot of ultimates, though, and Rayfaki is going to come back in. He could do a lot of damage with that Trinity Force. It's down to half HP. But remember, Once has to try and outstike Kalista plus Volibear. The rend can be massive. There is the barrel chain in. It just helps clean up the Baron health. Rayfaki takes a Sky Spread to the face. Now, Once has been stunned. He has to flash out. Steel going in. Yuhi flashes out. But now DFM are being kited away by the health bars, and they've had to pull off Baron. I wonder whether DFM could have stuck around and tried to finish the Baron rather than looking for the engage there.
Baron went down to 5k health. If they had just stayed on it, there's a chance that, yeah, they are coin flipping this traditionally.
I mean, they've got the Kalista still. It's exactly. It's a pretty weighted coin.
It's a weighted coin, but the problem is, okay, you get the Baron buff, but do you get out afterwards? And that might have been the question that DFM were asking themselves. They're like, we can get this Baron. Like, this is our Baron. They can't really contest us, but do we all get out afterwards? And some of the members of DFM after that initial scrim went kind of low until the normal healing that they get through. Oh, this is going to be a great replay. So Rayfaki's already super suspicious of something. Comes out, uses that orange, flashes, beautifully done, but so much damage just comes out. The hero's entrance a little bit late, but this Cosmic Binding on all 3 members comes through. Look at this Utapon heal that comes through as well, just at the end of it. They're all so healthy, and you can't even kill them, and you also have a numbers disadvantage. Well played by DFM.
Yeah, and Once was shoving in that bot side, he wasn't around, and yeah, it was well played by DFM, and that's better in the mid game. Of course, we still have question marks about that Rift Herald play again. That was suspect, I think it's fair to say, but at a gold advantage right now, it's not a huge one because there's still turret discrepancies to deal with, and they didn't secure the Baron. Hell, DFM have not managed to secure very many Barons this split at all. 36% Barons secured in this split, which is really quite poor. We've said they have had those struggles in the mid and late game, and with this composition as it is, they need that Baron soon, or I think they really are going to fall off pretty hard. They're going to try and fight around this Mountain Drake in 20 seconds, but they're on a ward, quickly taken out by a pink ward from them. They're going to try and find a face call now onto Rayfaki. Remember, he's got no flash, it's been burned out. That is the heroic entrance, but already the Gangplank is dead. That is the Cosmic Radiance down, and DFM will take one and try and escape. Their health bars are still a bit low, and Burning Core looking to try and find more. That's a flash! Torn onto Steel and Ebby, and the Volibear is dead, and Proud finds his way in. A fantastic headbutt back back onto the Callista as well. And we spoke of the devil and mid to late game team fights are DFM's curse this split.
Yu-Gi-Oh, you are filling in for Rocky and he would be proud with you. There are so many things going on. Proud himself is so proud he named it how proud he is. So phenomenal from all members of Burning Core. Yeah, yes, Ray Farkey did get caught out, but that actually worked hugely in Burning Core's favor. Gang popped the Cosmic Radiance so early on in that fight. And let's watch this replay. He popped it so early, they were already disengaging. There was no point. They used so much on to kill Ray Farkey, but then they come back in. Beautiful ult from Yu-Gi-Oh here. And look at this Cosmic Ray. What is he doing? He's doing nothing. It's now gone.
It's caught between two engages. Either he pops it even earlier so they take no damage doing what they did,
exactly,
or they pop it later to survive.
And now
they die at the end of it because it falls and they have no health bars left.
Oh, Proud, you're
Proud
so good.
is so good.
He's so good. He knocks Utapon back into the middle of them. They kill him and then Ebby, and they're like, Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of like, can I get Sirius? Nah, I can't probably get a Karma. Okay, we'll get a Baron, and then I guess we'll put ourselves on Mountain Soul. This is so absurd. Death Dance now coming in for Ray Farkey, and this man, yeah, he's died a few times, but he is dancing with death in a beautiful way that would make Jin blush.
It's been looking pretty damn good, and we said that Burning Core, if they get more tanky, DFM are going to struggle to find kills, and Proud is already absolutely destroying these teamfights. The Flash Pulverize was pretty superb. You can see that graph has flipped back and forth and back and forth, but it is now up to an 87% win chance for Burning Core after that big team fight in mid. DFM once again, question marks about their mid to late game team fighting. They just can't seem to find a clean 5v5 to save their lives anymore.
They need... a thing I really do question with DFM at the moment is they start a fight and they don't ever seem to be quite sure if they want to finish that fight then and there or if they want to have it continue. Steel's going for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Flashing onto Yu-Gi-Oh. He's got no way out. Remember, he used all his summoners, but that's a good stopwatch. Proud now in. The arrow lands onto Karma, but there's a good stun onto Utapon, who's now in a bit of bother. The Cosmic Radiance has not been popped as yet.
So
Steel stepping forward. He is so damn tanky, but the heroic entrance buys time. We said there was always going to be good response to DFM by diving in when there's a cannon barrage and a hero's entrance, and it proves true one more time. This Volibear has been more of a koala bear in this game. Every day introduced that particular bit of nomenclature to the LJL the other day, and it feels pretty accurate. Not a lot done for Steel this game.
Yeah, this isn't a grizzly bear. This isn't an Antarctic polar bear. This is...
There we go.
I'm gonna get there. It's a white bear. Come on, let's not say white bear on Castle. You're gonna look like an actual idiot for once, Alec. Nope, got there eventually. It's a koala bear. This is Steel.
Yes.
He's
the brown
not
bear,
sure.
the black bear, the white bear.
Yes,
I mean,
there's Yogi Bear, right?
Guy.
He wants his picnic basket.
The cucumber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I feel like there's an
bear.
American football team that's called the Bears as well.
Quite possibly. Either way, it's now a
Ice Bear is
significant
best
leaves.
bear.
Production, you need help. All right, Ebby now trying to run away. And this Renekton, again with the Volibear this later in the game, not really getting all that much done.
And part of this is going to be the build that Ebby has decided to go for, because they were looking vaguely promising in the early game. It's now looking pretty terrifying. Yeah. I know it's what the standard build, but even then, it's going to just hurt you moving forward.
And we've kind of said this, DFM have been pretty good at finding themselves early advantages, but they can't hold on to them.
No.
And they get to objectives too late to set up vision control and get punished for it. They don't seem to be 5v5 fighting all that well. I'll say they had some decent 5v5s yesterday when we were casting the Axis game, but they were also given a monumental advantage to 5v5 team fight with. This was from even to slightly ahead, and they messed it up. And here we go again. Proud's getting engaged on, but he's going to run away. No, there comes the Ash Arrow. And one of these days I'll let you speak, but here comes Ebby in the back end of it. One stepping forward.
So tanky.
There's the blade of the Ring King, but 2 Mountain Drakes. And 28 minutes in with a lack of damage it's like DFM is struggling to find anything that sticks right now.
And worth noting, I do want to give credit where credit is due. On the side of DFM, it's all Utapon and gang. This whole game is just then. That Cosmic Radiance, that's how they found a way back into this game. It was purely these 2 players on the side of DFM, and where credit is due, I will always give it. Well played, these two players. They are trying to put DFM on their back, but the rest of their members, they're not making it quite as easy as they could make it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Seros has had a good laning phase, got it to good CS advantage. He's at the right item, but this is Akame. He's there to support you, Kalista. He's not winning your game.
He's not meant to be a carry.
Top side of the map, though. 1-2 and 1 and 1-2 and 3 on these guys. That like, how many times did we see Steel kind of wandering around top side, looking
and
for
then
guys
gets caught out and just
nothing.
dies. Or just get caught out and he has to run away, ults away. We've seen flashes away. We've seen that countless times from him. I don't know if I quite blame Steel or if I blame the Volley Bear, which has been having huge problems in the LJL since Super Week started.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very successful around the world. It really has. But I don't think the comps that have been around the Volley Bear have been making it look good. It shouldn't really be your only initiation.
No.
You've got the Kalista, and that's not bad. Don't get me wrong, Kalista Tower is good, but...
I just want to cut myself in here. Before the dragon fight does start, there is a 4-level disparity between Once and Steel here. So this last Dragon Soul, which is coming up in 10 seconds for the side of Burning Core, is going to be huge. Initialize. Get ready.
Oh, well, my vocal cords are nicely warmed up. And DFM, you've put yourselves in a bit of a deficit. You've got to try and find this one, or the game is all but over if it hasn't been done yet. You've got this one chance to stop the doors snapping shut. Once is on it, and Burning Core are zoning away with the other 4 members. It's already down to half HP. Steel's trying to get in. He's been exhausted. He's got the Righteous Glory, but he's being stunned up. That's well done to make himself unstoppable and ignore the taunt. The Cosmic Raid the backline, but the Dragon is secured even with that massive smite advantage we mentioned. Oh, that's a great Ash Arrow to secure the Renekton. Steel has fallen, and now Utapon, Gang, and Seros must retreat. Another flash headbutt pulverized from this Alistair. Will not find as much of a liking, but it's meant that Utapon has been split up, left alone. Seros is trying to keep the Kalista alive. They know it's their one hope, but then Yu-Gi-Oh gets on top of Seros. The Guardian Angel is popped for Utapon, and he will fall as well. It's just the Taric remaining. It's Mountain Soul. It will be Baron, and Detonation FocusMe are looking lost in this game.
That was just depressing to watch, in all seriousness. Seeing an AD carry be one of the last 2 members alive and then just getting solo done. Okay, so a big problem I have with this is watch Gang on the Cosmic Radiance throughout this fight, while I'm probably going to talk about other things, because the team gets split up very early on. Proud, beautiful headbutt away. Look at this. Gang does this Cosmic Radiance, but what is it doing? They're just attacking Proud. They're not doing anything else. Dragon's been secure, while 2 of the other members have just eaten it because Yu-Gi-Oh! And Once were just like, I guess we'll just kill you guys. That's fine. Eddie and Steel, and look at this. Zeros has to run away, and poor Utapon here just brought his GA, and... he's trying to get away, but he's like, no, I gotta play the Ruin King out of Flash, and Proud really wants to kill you. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Also kills Seros for his sins of trying to hang around and keep him alive. Just, they're lost. They got Dragon Soul. Burning Core can't die now. Like, I'm actually serious now. Members of Burning Core can't die. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a 10-stack Magi now. He's just gonna do so much damage, and he's a tanky boy. All the members of Burning Core are going to be very difficult to kill. The only member that you could kill, partly because of how it stacks, is going to be Yuki, because he's not going to get anywhere near the base stats that do increase through the dragon. But it doesn't matter. They got 3 of them. Screw it. The script's out the window. Burning Core are in control.
They absolutely are. They're going to try and find engage at DFM. They missed the Dazzle. And now Udapon's not even in the Cosmic Radiance. He's healing up with the Blade of the Ruin King. But he doesn't quite get it at the last moment. There's the redemption. This was maybe the final stand. And it looks a little pitiful. It's bows and arrows versus the full arsenal of Burning Core, and Crime City Graves will make it look as easy as putting Lego sets together. I was going to make a pun there. Instead, I mess it up, much like DFM messed up their mid-game. And, like I'm throwing shade because it's kind of well-deserved here, let's be honest. It's a 10,000 gold disadvantage. Our Spring Split champions continue to look a little bit anemic here. Burning Core will step onto the Nexus. They'll step on that Kalista one more time, and it will be 16 kills to 6, and Burning Core move to 6-6, 2 games clear of DFM in the standings.
Congratulations to Burning Core. Solid game, solid pretty much all the way through. They definitely deserve this win, initialized through how they played.
They absolutely did. We said they had the composition to counter the low damage and bot lane focus of DFM, and kind of pulled it off. But break down kind of how they did a little bit more. Do we come back from this very short break?
Hello and welcome back. We have finished our final game of Super Week. And wouldn't you know it, it's another upset, or is it even an upset at this point? Burning Core pass DFM in the standings. They get themselves that win and importantly bring up their head-to-head to 1-1. We could be in for a spicy end to the split. Just to recap what we were talking about in terms of pre-game and visit some of these points again with some newfound context after this game. We talked about DFM particularly from a couple of us talking about them drafting some very awkward things for the way they play the game, particularly drafting a lot of losing lanes. In this game, DFM drafted Renekton, they drafted a Karma mid and a Kalista bot, some of the strongest laners in the game, and it did not matter. Lexi, what did you take about DFM and how they were drafting towards early game priority, and how did it affect them in the late game?
So they get the early lane priority. Very good. They start getting some slight CS leads. Awesome. They even came out to a very small advantage. I believe at one point they were about 1.5k ahead. They definitely started getting there. They got the first dragon. They got the first Rift Herald. Okay, momentum's going for DFM. And then they come to team fights. And then they suddenly realize that they have no team fight potential because that's not what they've drafted for. I don't know quite what they drafted for in all seriousness. They drafted winning lanes, but not really a winning team. And part of that was due to having a 1 damage central Kalista who basically has to jump around a team fight for probably about 20 seconds to even think about trying to kill a Galio, an Alistar, an Ashe, a Graves, who was built in tankiness, and a Gangplank. It's going to be tough for them, and it was tough.
And yeah, speaking of that team comp, of course, Burning Core drafted themselves a lot of ways to answer that Callisto. Having a Gangplank ult to chuck on top of it, reduce that attack speed through the slows. Having the Galio and the Alistair for that very short range to mid-range cancellation of her jumps as well, having a lot of CC. Sam, what did you make of Burning Core on their side, countering DFM in this draft phase?
Well, I think you just covered it pretty well there, honestly. I think that was exactly it. That you saw the Callisto, they saw what the DFM were drafting for, like aggressive lanes, looking to basically play entirely around bot, and they say, well, how do we stop that? We call in they say, okay, we hit level 6. We have the Cannon Barrage come down, it slows down the Callista. We have the Galio come in as well, knock people up and keep people safe. We've got Alistair to knock her away or just slow her down. There's a Graves that can come in as well and just dance around and put some damage out as well. And then we outscale as well on top of that. So it's like, okay, so DFM's win condition is play through bot. Burning Core have answered pretty well with their draft, so they can't do that as well as they like. And then if they can just survive through mid-game with the fact that DFM's going to have a hard job snowballing, they are going to outscale. And that's kind of what happened.
And speaking of a very important thing I really want to zero in on there, you said about DFM's win condition being about playing through bot. We talked about Callista being a solo threat. The thing about Callista backed up by a Taric, backed up by a Karma, and having then a couple of tanks to play blocker for that carry is that you need Utapon to do absolutely everything. Did DFM play through bot this game, Sam?
Not really. They barely went bot. Instead, it was the old school DFM standard of play through top. And of course, Renekton and Volibear is a lot of CC and damage early. I get that it's not a bad lane to gank the Gangplank. You can dive him, all that kind of jazz. But when you get absolutely nothing doing that, and you've also got to be aware that your win condition is Callista. Like, she really is, unless you get super snowballed.
Yeah.
It's just a mistake.
Sure. Okay, but of course, going on to the other side of that, it's not just DFM potentially missing out on what they should be playing towards. It's Burning Core playing to their strengths and playing to the mechanical prowess that they do have on some of these champions. And one guy I really want to talk about, and I know you've wanted to talk about him for a while. You've really been bigging him up on the podcast for previous weeks. It's Proud on the Alistair. Comes in, and the moo cow goes moo.
I feel so smart for investing in Proud stock so early on.
Good man.
I invested back in spring. Oh my god, I wish I put real stocks into this man, because by god is he paying me back hand over
bit of a cryptocurrency kind of journey, but he's here again.
Oh, he's here, and he's here to play. His Alistair here was just in a long line of supports where he's phenomenal. He'll find ways to disrupt the enemy team, to set up for his own team, to get rid of a Taric who, in some cases, especially with Cosmic Radiance, really good against an Alistair if he gets that Cosmic Radiance down on multiple members. However, Proud almost never allowed it except for one time when he was too late for that to actually be a factor, because the Cosmic Radiance came down into that top lane when they did that 3-man dive. It was a 3v3, then it turned into a 4v3, and it all fell apart. And that was the one time DFM actually played around their bot lane duo of Gang and Utapon.
And speaking of Gang and Utapon, having that Callista and that Taric, we know their strength in some of the laning phase and going through to the objectives particularly. But then we come back to this age-old adage, or at least this split-long adage for DFM, about them having troubles around that, just heading into the mid-game, around that second Herald spawn. And DFM flubbed the fight pretty heavily around that, and I know Sam brought this up quite a lot. Talk about this, and also how Burning Core managed to get a really high dragon percentage against an early game comp, against a Callista, and against, of course, DFM being one of our strongest teams in this region, or so we expected coming into this game. Sam, what did you make of DFM and their objective control, and actually how Burning Core managed to buck that kind of expectation in this game?
So, this is something I've called out from DFM since their match versus Sengoku way back in the Juggernaut match in, before that, in the spring split when they lost to the likes of Sengoku towards the end of the split, where regular split, where DFM set up vision too far in advance of a dragon, it times out or is cleared, they then have to come back into a river that is blind, and they are being punished for it now super hard. It happened around the second Herald where they wandered in blind. You see around the number of the dragon fights where they are basically trying to get into a dark river, and yeah, it's hard because they're already kind of behind in the game when they shouldn't be, but DFM's vision control has been a little bit suspect, frankly, where they've just had it at the wrong times in the wrong places, and it's getting them put down. Hell, the first Rift Herald fight, they got the Rift Herald and still lost 2 kills. Like, none of it was clean.
None of it was clean, whereas Burning Core had themselves a pretty relatively clean game, all things said and done. Survived the early game, got through to mid, got to scaling, and got themselves the win and that 1-to-1 head-to-head record versus DFM. That's us done with Super Week, guys. I think we'll probably move away from this particular game now because there will be so much to talk about at a later date, but we have had upsets, we've had drama, we've had a lot of results. What are your big takeaways from this Super Week for the LJL as a whole, guys?
I am well impressed with both Burning Core and the Hawks, actually. I didn't think they would be much of a threat come playoffs, but they seem to have turned online at the time. On the other end of that, the likes of Sengoku Gaming have shown some flaws to me, and we've just been evident.
Yeah, I think even DFM have not even escaped that microscope for myself as well. A lot of teams showing some exploitable weaknesses and some new late runners towards this playoff bracket, potentially getting up towards that lower half of that bottom bracket outside of the Juggernaut match. Lexi, do you have any particular expectations coming into playoffs after seeing Super Week? Or is that still something which you're still waiting to make your mind up after one more week, the last week of regular play?
I mean, I'll get into my thoughts fully in depth on our podcast, which you should definitely be checking out.
Just a little bit.
But, so Gauntlet match is going to be very exciting. We've already been vaguely setting up the narrative for ourselves. If it does happen, we could potentially be seeing a rematch of maybe the 2 most dominant teams of the LGL this split, that being V3 and Crest Gaming Act, who are currently 1-1. Like, they are definitely the 2 teams where it's like, if they face off, I'm interested in that. Teams like Sengoku have had a slight fall from grace, along with Detonation FocusMe, but on the other end, Burning Core and the Hawks have been more than happy to pick it up, as well as also, it's sad. It's so sad that the opportunity for Axis is gone. But they're turning it on at the last moment. If they will probably go 2-0 next week. I'm calling it now.
Who are Axis playing next week?
Detonation FocusMe. It's why I'm making that call. They're playing...
no, they're not.
Oh, no, they're playing Rascal Jester
They lost
Hawks.
DFM this week.
They're playing Rascal Jester Hawks. Yeah, they'll
they should beat Jesters. And the Hawks, I think, will be an interesting one, actually. That's a good call. I'm excited for that.
That would be... and what a blue shell that would be. Because we know our 6 playoff teams now. They're locked in. We know that Rascal Jester and Axis are not making playoffs. They are playing blue shell. Now, it's now about the playoff seedings and who can make it into that playoff bye between Sengoku and Crest Gaming. And, of course, who's going to get that 3rd and 4th seed to get that side selection in their various first-round playoffs. It can be very important, particularly when we know that having choice of side can be very important in these games. Some teams very much like their counter pick on red side. Other teams like to pick their power picks. First pick Karma or Aphelios or whatever is your poison on that blue side. I think it's fair to say that playoffs is about as unpredictable as it gets for this because of all the changes we've had in Super Week and all these teams going off on various different tangents. We'll have probably 10.15 for playoffs, maybe even beyond that. Who knows? But I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope to see the best these teams can get. Anything you want to sign off with today, guys? Anything you really want to have as the last thing you put on this cast?
That was a lot of games we've covered in a very short space of time, and we did it faster than we did the previous Super Week in spring, so pat on our backs!
Proud of us! Yeah.
Pat on our backs!
And I've also got to say, we said this would be a trial by fire for a lot teams, no gangplank. And some came out looking tempered, some came out looking a little bit
You in particular look very tempered. After all those bard ults hit him.
Oh my.
That was cruel. That was cruel, but I can't disagree. The likes of Burning Core and the Hawks stepped up when it mattered. DFM and Sengoku kind of faltered. They've got a week left to kind of set up some playoff standings, but I'll be interested to see how it plays out after.
I think that's where we're all stood. Bated breath, watching out for these final matchups, these final matches of the regular season of LJL Summer 2020, and I hope that you are waiting with bated breath too. Please Please try and breathe in and out. In the meantime, though, we've got another 6 days until we have to cover this again, and that's not really a timescale. We do have to go without oxygen. We'll be breathing plenty of in there. Just make sure you keep yourself hydrated too, and come back to us on Saturday. I know you're very confused. I don't know what I'm saying either, and that means it's probably time for us to sign off. Thank you very, very much for joining us on this journey. We've enjoyed it. Hope you have too. See you next time.